It's the most wonderful time for gamers. It's June, ladies and gentlemen. This is when all the big gaming announcements are made, except it's not called E3 anymore. It's called Summer Game Fest, plus a whole bunch of other transmissions, state of plays, directs, whatever the hell they want to call it. We got the Xbox one tomorrow, but the Summer Game Fest, at the time we're recording this, happened yesterday. And, yeah, it was a thing. Some people are not particularly happy about it. Some people are. We're going to go into all the things that were announced, some of the highlights, some of the lowlights. Syb, I think it's safe to say that if you were going into the Summer Game Fest expecting at least a handful of really big announcements, then no doubt I understand why people are saying that this is the worst Summer Game Fest in years. But it's not really their fault, because 2023 was the year that everything released because it had to, because things had been delayed so long because of COVID, and now we're just sort of trying to pick up the pieces. But with that in mind, I gotta say, the stuff that was shown, there was a lot of smaller games, more than I was expecting, where I was like, I really want to play that. I really want to play that. I really want to play that. That looks interesting. That looks really creative. And I can't remember the last time I ever saw a showcase where I actually felt that way. Am I out of bounds? Like, I would have, like, the entire time I was watching, I was like, I bet Syb's loving this. Am I off base?
A lot of indie games were like, "Oh, these are interesting."
Mhm.
But as far as the big ticket items go, so far I've only seen a few, and I do mean a few, that look interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is kind of a weird year. This is a weird year in a lot of ways. Key among them being that COVID was a fair while ago, and then we had this dip in the games world, but we're still not getting the things that people are actually interested in for the most part.
For a
Like, there's a
while.
whole
Yeah.
bunch of genres that are just non-existent, which is just like, erg, like seriously, where are the mech games?
Well,
Like,
Mecha Break, there's that, but I don't think that's the type of mech game that you're personally
no,
into.
there's also I've seen advertisements for Steel Hunters, which looks it looks pretty good. It's a PvP online arena type shooter type thing.
Mhm.
And it genuinely looks interesting. I've seen a couple of ads for it. I know that they're going into some private testing and whatnot. So stuff like that is like cool, but like not like mech warrior type
Mhm.
games.
But what about the stuff
Which,
that they did show? Like,
yeah.
did you were you interested in any of the indie games they showed?
So I've got a small list. Hyper Lightbreaker looks interesting.
Yeah.
Battle Ace is an RTS that's trying to change the way RTSs are played. So
Yeah, that
that's a
was.
big,
Yeah. When I heard that, I was like, huh, maybe this is the game that I should play, because I don't like RTSs at all. So it's like,
there's
yeah.
a lot of ramp up time in some RTSs. In that ramp up time so the ramp up time is like the time between your armies clashing, essentially,
Mhm.
and deciding who the winner is. And I like that time where it's like you're playing some, like, Age of Empires is a great example, where it's like you're playing a long game with multiple ages in it. So you can dump everything you've got into trying to do an early game push, but that's very rarely successful because of just the way that some of the defense systems can work.
Mhm.
And so it's really cool to have that unique, different flavor, and yeah, I really really enjoy that kind of stuff. But for some people, that just they're banging their head against the wall. I've literally seen people do this, where they literally start banging their head on the desk because they're so bored. So this is gonna potentially change that.
Mhm.
So it's interesting. We'll see kind of like where that comes out at anytime they're offering, or people are expecting to do something different. Is like, yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. So fingers crossed that this is a successful experiment for their sake,
Mhm.
and the fact that it's changing up at least part of the system. of RTS. So yeah.
Yeah. Definitely want to check that out. Like people like RTS is sort of like the next game genre that I sort of had to get over my prejudice for, because
Hmm.
before that it was JRPGs and turn-based battles. I've fully gotten over that. I love them now. Yeah. But anyways, there were a lot of games that they showed off, even if they weren't to the majority of people's liking, the people that were looking for the big announcements. So I'm just going to go down my top 10 list of the things that I was most excited about, and then also mention a few other things that stood out to me for good or bad reasons. And then I'll throw it over to Syb, and, like I said to Syb beforehand, Syb, if you want to interrupt me at any point, go ahead. So, my number 10 on my list of announcements was this game called Cairn, where it was just the whole point of it apparently is to rock climb, to climb up gigantic mountains, and apparently it's going to be this huge emotional experience. I really like the concept. I really like the look of it. I'm curious to see how they sort of separated from something like Jusant, which is sort of the same idea that came out last year. That's another game I really got to play, which I've heard nothing but good things about, but just haven't had the time. All right, number 9. Syb, the game that I was looking forward to hearing about the most going into this was Slitterhead. And I was hoping that it would sort of be the number 1 or 2 thing coming out of it, but I have it at number 9. And it really just comes down to one thing. While I love the vibe of the gameplay that they finally showed us for Slitterhead, because this is our first time getting a look at gameplay, I like the concepts. I like the mixture of horror and action. But my God, does it look stiff. It makes Palworld look fluid. It makes Palworld look like Sekiro.
Yeah.
It's okay, and look, it might.
I'm
Yeah,
hoping that's just so. I want to make sure I'm thinking. Which game was this called?
It's the Slitterhead. It's the one where the weird monster design. It's developed by the same guy who developed the original Silent Hill, Gravity Rush, Siren.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the same one that I'm thinking about. So yeah, the I saw this and a lot of people said the same thing initially. I was watching a couple streamers react to this, and they were like, "That combat does not look good." But then we saw the complexity of the combat, and that's when people went, "Oh,
yeah." There's variety.
There's depth, and that there is that there are things you don't do in other games. Period. Like there's the complexity is really really deep.
Yeah.
But that smoothness of the combat is just, it looks terrible.
Yeah, it does not look good. Yeah. Let's hope it's sort of like a Skyrim or like any Elder Scrolls game situation where it doesn't look good, but it plays well while you're playing it.
I'm just hoping that they haven't had a chance to like really perfect it, because the combat does remind me very, 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 very much of the type of combat that is in kind of like an early beta where they haven't gotten it quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go from what you saw to something very, very smooth. And I've seen this a ton in development. So this isn't like, if you told me that this game was in like early beta and that they're entering their like smoothing phase, like that would not surprise me at all. But I would have also said that I would have kind of run with that as a base intro. It's like, hey, look, this game is got some XYZ issues. We're working on these issues. Please pay attention to the depth of combat, not the smoothness of combat. We should have these things figured out. We're going to be, launching in either early beta, or we're going to be crushing these bugs during, an open beta or 2. Come see how we're improving it, because it was very like, oof, that doesn't look good, but the depth is there.
Yeah.
That even if it was like that, I could see a lot of people liking it because of the complexity that is offered there behind the wall, sort of, that you don't really see.
Yeah, and sort of like the unique flavor of the combat. Like, even though a lot of the stuff there, like hijacking people's minds, that's sort of like what Watch Dogs Legion, and I think there's like, didn't you do that in Prototype, or am I thinking about another game? I can't remember, but just that plus the third person shooting and melee combat and being able to jump across like huge expanses in an urban environment. That's all really cool. It's just the way that it looks. It's very uncomfortably stiff. But I hope, like you said, Syb, it is like at the time of this recording, it's 5 months exactly until the game comes out. Hopefully they'll be able to smooth out some things in regards to the animations, and hopefully the core gameplay that is already there feels good. Either way, I'm still going to get it. I have faith that Keiichiro Toyama is going to pull it off. He has yet to disappoint me with any of his games. Plus, it's got my boy Akira Yamaoka doing the soundtrack. And just anything this man does, musically speaking, is just perfection. He's my favorite composer in the history of video games. All right, moving on. My number 8 is Palworld. My wife and I have had a blast playing Palworld. We haven't played it recently because I think we were just getting close to the level cap and we'd pretty much done everything. But the stuff that they're adding here, like all the Japanese stuff, raid bosses, new pals, it makes me want to go back and play it again. It looks gorgeous. It looks like the people behind this game are really committed to it for the long run. And yeah, it's going to give me a perfect excuse to go back and play it. You haven't played Palworld yet, have you?
No, it's one of the games that I have stayed away from because it looks so good and so deep, and some of the modding for the game is just really, really, really cool that
Yeah.
I would not have time for anything else.
Right. It's not that bad, man.
So-
It's like a 30, 40-hour experience as it is right now.
I think that I would easily put probably 800 hours into that game, and I'm just I'm dreading playing it because I know I'm gonna be like, ah.
Okay, well, fair enough. Like I can see how some people can go pretty crazy with the collecting the pals. Sorry, don't sue me, Nintendo. And building their bases.
Their base.
Yeah.
That's like it's like I put 800 hours into building stuff in Fallout 4.
Yeah.
I put hundreds of hours into 76 now, and it's the same sort of thing where it's like, oh yeah, and especially if you got mods, it's like, oh my goodness.
Dude, I gotta show you what my house looks like. It's so ghetto. All right, moving on to number 7. Phantom Blade Zero. I was really happy to see this. Ever since we saw that initial gameplay trailer, I think it was at the Game Awards. I think that was the last time that we saw it. It looked really interesting. It's sort of like a more approachable, more kinetic version of a Sekiro, or maybe combining like Sekiro type combat with the approachability of a Ghost of Tsushima. And we got to see a little bit more of it. We saw a short trailer, but we also saw some extra gameplay come out from it. Looks really interesting. It looks like my type of game. It looks mostly standard, except for the additions into making the game, like the combat, flow a little bit better than in games like it that have come since, like beforehand. Adding in QuickTime events and all that, but in a way that doesn't suck like most QuickTime events. Being able to run along walls that soothes the void left by Prince of Persia in my heart. And they closed out the show with that, and it was a good trailer. Just looking forward to that one. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the Japanese one.
Yeah, it looks solid. There were a couple that kind of fit that bill, and I'm like, okay, yeah, there's gonna be way more of this coming down the pipes.
There was the Anatria, and then there was the one that was also at Sony State of Play, which I've already forgotten the name of, but looked like Sekiro. Yeah.
Then there's this. I don't know if you saw this one, but the Tears of Metal game looks like it's like that quick combat style, but you're in giant armies.
Oh, yeah. I think
yeah. And it looks so it's sort of like a combination between that and I want to say crap, what is there's 2 or 3 other games the art style is similar to that I can't remember the names of. They're like Viking-ish type style medieval games, but it's like that I'm glad that there's so much of those types of games because I like the Sekiro, the
Sekiro.
Soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't speak.
Guys, it's
It
been a
looks great.
long day for
Yeah.
both Sybe, especially Sybe and me.
Mm-hmm.
So just bear
Mm-hmm.
with us. But yeah, I'm actually looking at the gameplay for this again. I'm looking at IGN's video, and the top comment for this said, "Whoever greenlit Dynasty Warriors Scotland is a legend." Just describing it like that has already sold me on the game because like Dynasty Warriors is like mindless, but in a good way. And what they seem to be doing here looks very, very entertaining. And yeah, I think the art style as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one, number 6 on my list. I really want to hear your opinion on this one, Side. Dune Awakening. The more I see of this game, the more curious I am. And I'm especially curious in a way I don't know how to describe whether it's positive or negative, but just
Right.
intrigued.
And it's so funny because I'm not joking. I added this to I saw this in my list and I was like, oh, I forgot to add that to my wish list. I literally just added it to my wish list just right now.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I guess that means that you weren't put
Uh,
off by sort of the revelation made in that story
so
trailer.
I I I kind of called it. I'm like, there's no way that this is like they're trying to like say this is canon or
Hmm.
something like that because that
Be
would
too hard.
confine it would kind of mess things up a lot. Um, the whole like spoiler alert, it's in a different dimension with different what if scenarios.
And Paul Atreides
Ooh.
isn't there anymore, but his mom gave birth to a daughter. Like the
I think that's
organization,
only
yeah.
I think that's only in one scenario because
Oh,
what I'm saying what I saw, what I felt, what I heard was what was going on is that this is literally him like essentially like dimension hopping, trying to find the future or the potential path that's not just soaked in the blood of billions.
mm,
That's what I think what they're kind of hinting at is that this isn't a single different storyline. This is like multiple different storylines. And what I can imagine seeing is there might be and this would be really smart of them is to give you server options that allow you to pick what happened,
yeah.
and thus that changes the landscape of play. I think this is a really brilliant thing for something. This is a way that you can create a narrative option, giving an unlimited number of factors of dominoes to place and then tip over so that each experience is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really smart thing. So when I saw this, I was sort of excited by it because what this is setting up, what this is keying up, is the ability for us to have servers, because that's what this tech is kind of really
It's an
leaning into.
MMO,
It's going
yeah.
to be it's an MMO, but it appears to be like a sort of like a Rust/76 thing, where it's like we can have our own servers. Now it could be, and I might be misunderstanding that, but that's what it looks like from the outlet. So they are calling it an MMO, but I think this what they mean by that is sort of like MMO light. Like I wouldn't say that 76 and Rust is not an MMO, but I wouldn't call them a traditional MMO either.
Right.
But so it really depends on exactly how they're doing that. So I I didn't get a solid answer. I got more questions than I have answers to now, having watched that video. And right now the internet is just a buzz with all of the talk, and there's not enough direct answers in this. So I'm hoping that we get some more direct answers that point us to what is going on here. If it is what I think, and they've set up this system of like you have hundreds of like little check boxes that you can click out of, that or things that you could flip, right?
Yeah.
So, did the Harkonnens, you know, did they get wiped out by Paul Atreides. Not Paul, his father.
Yeah.
Did they get wiped out by him? And that whole thing was reversed. And then how does that, change the world? And then you can play with that, and then you can do all this other kind of stuff. And again, it's like, if they're doing that, then what they're doing is they're allowing the players to kind of mess with the lore in the ways, the really important stuff, to turn them on and off like switches, so that they learn more about the world, the factions, without being constrained to the singular storyline,
Right.
giving them the option to branch. And that is, for a game like what I think they're going for, this is probably one of the best moves they could have done. And when people are complaining about, oh no, I don't want this character to be this or that or whatever, it's like,
They'll give you the option.
yeah, but you get all the options.
Yeah. But here's
And
the
if
problem,
that's
though.
what they're going for.
But here, like,
Yeah.
if they do that, for me, that sounds awesome, and that sounds awesome to you, obviously. But the question that I have is, like, if that's the approach that you're going to, how are you going to introduce supplementary content that tells a story? Because you would have to go ahead.
Yeah. No. So the story, that structure, like, if they're utilizing AI, the sky's the limit on what they could do.
Yeah,
because
but you'd have to be very careful with that.
But at the same time, it's like, if they can. So right now, I don't have any more answers. All I have is way more questions. I am definitely more I'm definitely listening to. I'm going to be listening for information on this game more than I was planning to before.
Yeah.
Before, I was like, it was definitely on the list of, like, I'll try it when it comes out. We'll do a review on it. We'll see what it's like. Yeah, because it looks okay-ish. But yeah, I am very curious to see what can happen, because I think the universe of the story and the lore and all of the different factions, there's a ton of factions that I want to get into. There is a super ton of factions that I want to see that are from the later books and from the newer books that I would like to see in this setting, which canonically couldn't happen. We just wouldn't be able to see that. But perhaps by changing the dimensional stuff, they can introduce all of these different factions. One of the most interesting factions that I think are in the game is a faction that rises in and then basically hunts down the Harkonnens and kills basically all of them off. And it's a very cool aspect of the story, but it's not something that I have ever up until now thought, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to be able to play this at some point. I've always figured that they're going to get stuck in this one storyline and they're never going to be able to move past it.
Yeah.
But now it's sort of thinking like, oh, well, because they're doing all this like parallel time shifting stuff, maybe that creates this faction sooner.
If they yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So no, that's about it. It's a bunch of what ifs right now, and I don't have answers. I really want answers, but right now I'm not getting them. So I'm not negative about this because I don't have the answers to it. Because if they do it right, then this is even better. This allows people to explore the lore and the story in way more ways. Like, what if you want to really get to know the Empire faction, right? The Emperor's faction. What if you really want to get to know how his side of the thing would be run if, say, the Harkonnens and the Atreides get wiped out?
Yeah.
Like, how does he fill in that? Like, how does he and his daughters fill that side of the story? And if you're doing a what if game, that's what I really want. I don't as much as I like 76 in the direction they're going, I really do, at the end of the day, I really do wish, I really cross my fingers that the whole thing is a Vault-Tec experiment and everybody that we're playing is still in Vault 76 in those mind dream chairs.
Yeah.
Just going through this all, because I don't think the lore that they've introduced is good enough to be the thing that becomes canon. What I want is a more specified thing, and it's the same thing with this. I don't want Dune's MMO to set new lore. What I would love it to do is set what if lores, and then that way the story can evolve in a bit of a better way without being affected by the insanity that is an MMO community.
Right.
I
I agree with you. I'm just very curious to see how they would be able to handle something like that without the narrative getting out of hand and without misuse of AI and just making everything just go completely out of whack. But if they can find a way to sort of keep it within reasonable bounds, then Dune can really be something really, really special, something to really sit alongside the likes of current MMOs like Final Fantasy XIV, WoW, and yada yada. All right, moving on to number 5 on my list. I know you're gonna have a lot to say about this one. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. This is probably going to be, I would hope that this is sort of what's going to tide us over.
Stole the show!
Yeah, dude, it looks great. And it looks like they're going to be fixing all the problems from the original game, which is a cult hit, but does have like things that sort of keep mainstream audiences out. But man, like the approach that they're taking right now, just, I really want to play it. Go ahead.
It stole the show.
Sure, yeah.
From what I've seen, from what I saw, and from the people talking about this, from all of the hype that's around this is like, yeah, this is great, and I'm really looking forward to where this goes, because this is like, I'm like, yeah, this is cool. I watched a lot of the gameplay and some of the story from the first game. It is, of course, vomit-inducing first-person mode.
Yeah.
But I still really enjoyed watching people talk about the game. Ash played the game a lot, and he really enjoyed it. A couple other people I know like absolutely loved that game, and their biggest complaint about it was that there wasn't enough, that they wish there was more, that they wish they could have like had just a ton more story and dialogue and stuff like that. But I think what the studio did is they saw the positive praise, and they're like, all right, let's not spend too much time trying to like work this up and fix this. Let's get into making the second game and really expanding in all of those points. And the fact that they've gotten it out so soon, I think this is probably, I think we're looking at potentially the game of the year. I think we're looking at potentially one of the better narrative stories that they've come. That trailer
on that, yeah,
everything
it was hilarious.
Hit.
Yeah,
it was hilarious. It was like, you take the average gamer, and this is like exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, it's gamer humor, but like sophisticated.
And I 100% wish that somebody makes a mod for third person mode, or that they include it for, for people. That would just be so nice, but I'm not expecting it. I'm not demanding it. This is very well done in the way that it is, and I think that the story and everything that they've done, and it's just perfect. It's like, congratulations, they nailed this, and I'm so excited about it.
The only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is whether or not like the graphics are going to be sort of like they were for the first one, where they're like the best in the industry. Because I wonder, like, I have a 2080 Ti, and it's a pretty good graphics card. I made that investment about 3 or 4 years ago, and even like that Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, it does a kind of a toll on it even when I'm playing that, so I wonder what they're going to do with this one. But yeah, I hope that with this one they do a little bit more to make the combat a little bit more approachable, so that way, you can fight more than one guy, and if another guy shows up, you don't just have to run off in the other direction. But yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out. All right, moving on to my number 4. Speaking of indie games and them making a splash, I was really impressed by the showcase that Blumhouse Games did. I love what they're doing, trying to bolster up these wonderful ideas that are sort of sometimes quasi in the horror realm, sometimes full on in the horror realm. They announced 5 games, and every single one of them I wanted to play. The Chrysal, Theater of Idols, Gray Seasons, it's like that cozy quasi-horror like farming simulator. That looked really cool. Sleep Awake, Fear the Spotlight, which I'm really interested in, especially after watching people play Crow Country. Fear the Spotlight sort of has the same PS1 era-esque art direction. Looks really neat. The simulation, I love what they're doing here. Just trying to give a whole bunch of people like with really good ideas a chance to have a platform to put their games out there and have people enjoy it, because horror is really hot right now. A lot of people are engaging with horror games more. And yeah, they're really making a good push, and it seems like they're putting their best foot forward. Really impressed. Yeah, Sab, what were you thinking about that?
Huge kudos to how they are approaching this. How they're saying, if you have a good horror take game, let us help you bring the game out. I hope that they're doing it right. I don't think anybody will know for certain until probably about 4 years from now whether or not they've been successful.
Yeah.
But I think that this is kind of what we want to see from the new age of publishers.
Yes.
The new age of publishing
They're
is
doing it
supposed
right.
to pick up indie gaming, say, look, you indie developers are more likely to create a new genre than we will. As a big house, as a big thing. So we're not going to get in your way. We're going to give you the tools. We're going to give you some assistance to help you get stuff out. And then we're just going to help you passively grow. It's like, right. Probably the best way that you can approach any form of publishing. And I am 100%. I really think that this is good. I really, really think this is gonna go in a good direction.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see where they take this. And I every one of the horror games that they showcased,
I'm interested.
Genuinely looked interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't say that typically for a lot of horror games. A lot of horror games, it's like, yeah,
it's a walking simulator. You're going through tight hallways. Yeah.
You're a walking simulator. A lot of dumb jump scares. It's have I ever complained about Fear, the Fear series?
No. Like,
so the Fear series was a series of FPS.
No, I know. I love Fear.
Good.
You can feel free to crap on Fear 2 and 3 all you want, but if you crap on Fear 1, we're gonna have to fight.
It always boiled down to the same thing for me personally, and that was, how can you be afraid when you're a walking death god with guns that destroy everything?
Terrifying little girls, Sybe. Get it? That's why.
Now, I bought and played Fear 1. I pushed through the motion sickness because I really wanted a good, scary Halloween experience. And it was good. The jump scares, the fact that there was like 90% of the scares in that, I disliked that. I was definitely on the side of like, yes, I am on your side. I like you, scary little girl. So yeah, that was not as scary. I was like, yeah, team scary girl, woo! So yeah,
ripping everybody apart. At least that was cool about it. Like, she's just turning guys instantaneously into skeletons with the blood flying everywhere. That crap was dope, man. Oh, I want to go back and play Fear right now. What were we talking about? Yeah, Blumhouse games. Just quickly put a cap on that. What do we always talk about here, Sybe? Is the way AAA games are being developed right now are unsustainable. Blumhouse, with their approach, are clearly future-oriented. If they can make at least 2 or 3 of these games work decently well, they will have set themselves up, and they will be able to have their business grow into the future like their business has grown wonderfully over the last 10 or 20 years in the filmmaking industry. Yeah, so I'm really excited to see what they do. All right.
And I think the one thing that nobody has really quite realized yet is that what they're doing is they're setting themselves up to help create these horror games in the game space, and then Blumhouse Studios will help to make it into movies.
True.
That's the direction that they're taking.
Multimedia.
100%.
Yes, and that's what people need to do.
Yep. Yeah. So really looking forward to what they've got because I think they have a winning formula. They're behind the new and they did announce that the new Five Nights at Freddy movies,
Eh,
the next one is
yeah.
coming. So I'm excited about that because I did like the first one. I thought it was really good. I liked all the actors. I think they did really good job
Mhm.
with that, and I hope that they can continue that success in some new horror games with new gameplay and new franchise stuff. It is something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, yeah. That's what people like. That's another huge thing that people or studios are going to be doing a lot in the coming years is to try and make all their
Yeah.
franchises multimedia. All right, moving on to number 3. Where has this game been my entire life? Killer Bean? How am I just learning about this game? Side, this game looks like just it appeals to my inner 13-year-old. It looks like Just Cause meets Max Payne in an open world, and you're just flip-flopping all over the place and doing all this Matrix crap. It looks amazing. Oh my god, this is exactly what is so great about the indie game scene right now. People producing stuff like this. I want to play it now. Oh my god. Yeah, and apparently we've known about this game for months. I just learned about it instantly when I was just in love. Anyway, can you tell them how excited I am about this? Yeah, Saib, your reaction.
Yeah, looks
And it's a
I
third
immediately
person. No, wait,
messaged
no, it's not.
I immediately messaged a few people on our Discord with this game going, "Did you see this? This
Uh,
looks awesome. Oh my goodness."
Sorry,
Love
excuse me.
it.
I think it's both in first person and third person, although I'll have to double check that again. But yeah, I think you can do both, which is great. But
Mhm.
yeah, just it just immediately reminded me of all the hours that I spent in my youth playing Max Payne and just diving out from corners and shooting bad guys, and it embraces the ridiculous bootleg nature of what made those games so great with a great sense of humor. You're literally a bean going around killing people. Oh, I want to play this game. All right, moving on to number 2. This is probably surpassed so some of my most anticipated games coming out later this year are Little Nightmares 2, Black Myth Wukong, which they also showed a CG trailer for, which looks cool, but just a CG trailer. And a couple other ones which I can't think of off the top of my head. But there is one game that has surpassed all of them, and it was shown at Summer Game Fest. Metaphor ReFantasio. I love Atlas. They're probably in my top 5 favorite game development studios right now. And you got the guys behind Shin Megami Tensei 3 and Persona 3, 4, and 5, which are all freaking amazing, working on this game. And I've yet to see anything from this game that I don't love. I cannot wait for it. I think it's coming out October 11th, I think. So that's a week after Silent Hill 2 remake. No, 3 days? Oh my god. Oh, jeez. I'm probably going to blast through Silent Hill 2 remake in a few days on stream anyways. Spoiler alert, I'm going to stream it. But yeah, I just finished playing Persona 3 side, and I just need more of this type of game in my life, and it looks awesome, and it's going to have like Jungian psychology in it, as all the Shin Megami Tensei games do, because they literally have a magic system called archetypes. Thank you very much. Yeah, I can't wait. All right, yeah. So,
I really 100% agree. Like I love unions. I can't say his
you'll
name.
love unions.
Union.
Young, you
Carl
mean?
Carl Jung. It's not Young's. It's
Jung. Yeah, I know, but
Jung. It's
we
Carl
Canadians
Jung.
pronounce it Young.
Yeah, Carl Jung psychology. I tweak with it and I add it to my current book series. I've added a lot of it in there because I think there's a lot to it,
Sure.
which is really messed up because I'm told by if I mention that to a psychiatrist, the look they give me is just disturbing. Anyways, yeah,
Yeah,
I think I'm 100% behind this one. I'm looking forward to it.
nice. All right, and then my number 1, Side. You know me. What game is it?
It is. Let me find something stupid and ridiculous to to pick up here. I'm trying to find something. I'm trying to find one of the many Screenbound. It's Screenbound. Clearly, it was Screenbound.
What the hell are you talking about? Was there a game called Screenbound that was shown?
Yes. So Screenbound is the game where you're playing a character who is playing themselves on basically a Game Boy, like an original Game Boy, and you're moving. So you on the screen, on the Game Boy screen, you're seeing yourself from the perspective of a normal like Mario 1, 2, or 3 type game, right?
Yeah.
So you're seeing yourself as a 2D in a 2D world walking up and down the thing, but you're actually moving the character in a 3-dimensional world.
That's
and at the center
cool.
of the screen, he's using the control pad. This game, obviously not your number one,
Right, but no,
super interesting.
Yeah, no, I guess this wasn't shown during the main Summer Game Fest thing, but was shown at the Day of the Dev stream. This looks cute. I mean, it's sort of for like Generation Z who can never get off their phones, but
Right.
I mean, we're ones to talk. We were the same thing with our Game Boys back in the day. But yeah, this looks great.
You should see me when I'm like working. I've got my phone out and I'm doing the exact same situation, and it's silly.
But at least I'm not like on TikTok or Instagram. I'm actually doing it for work. Thank you very much. No, come on.
No, same thing. I'm doing work stuff. I'm taking, I'm doing all this stuff that I need to do for stuff and things and yeah. But it looks. I've had people yell at me and they're like, "Why are you on your phone?" And I'm like, "To keep you alive."
Right. All right. Really? You can't guess what my number one is?
No, not off the top of my head.
Alan Wake,
I'm really tired. Oh yeah, the Alan Wake. Yes, of course. The wacky
dance.
What if stories.
Yeah. The wacky what if stories and the wacky dance that Sam Lake did when he comes out on stage and does the champion of light. That whole just thing that became a meme and like top 10 moments in gaming history. Yeah, Alan Wake 2, the DLC. I've been waiting for this. I want to see what it does to add to the pre-existing story. The only problem is, like, it's great that it released today. There was a quasi shadow drop for people that are fans of the game. The only thing that sucks is that I'm not going to be able to play it until Monday because all weekend I'm just going to be working on my new video, which is like 30 minutes long. Spoiler alert, it's on Final Fantasy Tactics. But yeah, I'm going to have to wait until Monday to play it, which, it's just the nature of the biz. And, I'm happy that people who are asking for a physical edition of Alan Wake 2 are finally going to get one, so that's cool. And yeah, that's my top 10 list. So, just a few smaller things that weren't on there but just stood out to me. Side, we finally found out why there was no Quidditch in Hogwarts Legacy. They decided to turn it into a I don't know. No, not free-to-play, like something that they can monetize, right? I think that's what they're going for with Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. Yeah, at least we got a Quidditch game now. Mecha Break. Saib, I nearly crapped my pants when I saw this trailer at first because I saw the mechs and I was like, wait a minute. Are those gears from Xenogears? Are they doing so? Oh, it's just it's a mech battle game. It's not anything to do with the Xeno series. But I'm happy for people that enjoy that sort of stuff. Monster Hunter Wilds. I mean, we just got to see more gameplay for it. Looks awesome. I'm already sold on it. I'm going to get it. And then Once Human. Again, it's sort of like, I dig the premise. I think what they're going for, like a supernatural plus zombie survival horror game that they're doing here, I like. It's sort of like what sort of sold me on, well, didn't sell me, but what made so many people intrigued about The Day Before when it got announced, and then it became one of the worst games ever made. But let's hope that's not the case with Once Human. Let's hope if they can fulfill the promise and give us something really interesting. And so far, it seems like they're making an effort. And that's pretty much everything. Was there anything else that stood out to you, Saib, from Summer Game Fest?
Yes, two things that I have complained about. And so at the beginning of a recording, I said, where is our Mech Warrior games? Where is our other games that I'm interested in? I don't know how, although I can kind of see how with this was dropped 6 hours ago, and I was in the middle of a funeral 6 hours ago. So, but yeah, apparently MechWarrior 5 Clans is coming.
Okay. What's that? Like an expansion?
It's an expansion to MechWarrior 5. MechWarrior 5 dropped in Mercenaries dropped in 2021. I tried to play it, but there was just I was having some issue with FPS, and it was unplayable for me.
Yeah.
It was so nauseating that it made it really really bad. But I just watched the new trailer that dropped just a few hours ago for this, and it's all about the clans and everything, and it looks 1,000 times better than what I remembered. So I'm like, all right, maybe this game has changed substantially, and I need to jump back into this. But I am, yeah, I am floored. I didn't expect this to come out. I didn't expect a major expansion for a game that is coming up on 4 years old.
Yeah.
So wow, first of all, super cool. This is I don't know if it's a standalone. I'm trying to figure that out right now as we speak. I'm like, wait, what? How is this? What? So, and then the other thing that apparently I don't know how I missed, because I looked up the video has been out for a day. So I'm like, how did I miss this? I am super confused. Did you know that we're getting another Civilization game?
Oh yeah, I should have mentioned that. Yeah,
The
'cause
announcement. And I haven't even, so again, I have no idea how I missed this. Now, to be fair, over the last few days, I have tried to watch this stuff in piecemeal parts, and YouTube kept resetting my watch progress on some of these expos. So I know I missed like one or two announcements,
Yeah.
but I didn't think that out of all of the things I missed is the only 2K game that I will ever consider buying ever, which is the next Civ game.
I'm Bioshock
So I'm
4?
like,
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. It's okay. It's okay. Sorry. Civilization.
But yeah, apparently we're getting a new Civ game. I haven't been able to listen to Sid Meier's, which, man, he is looking old.
Yeah.
I just gotta say, he is looking very old.
He's been
I
around since
hope
the
that
beginning of the medium, man.
I hope he's around for another 30 years making games, because of course there's minor issues with the Civ games from time to time, but I really think that he's probably one of the best OGs, because he doesn't I don't think he's ever really missed in the way that some others have had their, like, some others have had some really crippling bad experiences and whatnot. But this, no gameplay yet. We're getting gameplay in August.
Yep.
So, okay, very interesting. Very excited for this. I've got my fingers crossed. We'll see where this goes. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. Like, Civilization is such a long-running and such a beloved franchise. Unfortunately, like, I can't really speak much to it because I've never played a game. But, any time I've ever heard anybody speak about it, they love it. Has there ever been a Yeah, well, I mean, I think you already just answered this question I was about to ask, which was there ever a Civilization game that missed? But you already said that Sid Meier's never really missed.
So a lot of people trash the Xbox version of Civilization. I didn't. I actually really liked it. It was not made for the original audience. It was made to kind of expand out to a different audience. But I felt that I played a lot of it. I put, I think, probably like 600-700 hours into it. Not as much as I put into Civ 4. Obviously, I put in way more time into Civ 4 and 5. Civ 6 was good, but Civ 7, I think, hopefully, fingers crossed again, don't pre-order.
Never.
Months ahead of time. Wait until it's like, just about out, then you can go and pre-order if it's looking good. But yeah, the version that they had there, I can't complain about. I honestly can't. They had an MMO coming where you played as actual, like, characters from. It was a very interesting take on MMOs, and they canceled that project. I was horrified when they canceled it because it genuinely looked really good, and I was really interested in playing it.
Yeah.
Like genuinely just super hyped to play it, and then they canceled it and it never got released, and I was so sad. But yeah. Haven't seen any gameplay, no gameplay, have no idea don't know what the art style is. It going to be kind of cartoony like the previous game? Are they going to try and go for more realism like some of their other attempts? How exactly are they going to handle this? Are they going to make any stupid moves? Who knows? We don't know yet, but that's this and MechWarrior 5, which is a standalone game. You do not need to get the don't need to get MechWarrior 5.
Okay.
The Mercenaries. This is I don't know why this is not MechWarrior 6 then, but this is it looks sharp, it looks good. I'm really excited for this, so I got my fingers crossed, and I think I might. Yeah, this is going to be single player and online co-op. Storyline looks amazing. I have been wanting to play a Clans MechWarrior game ever since I watched the MechWarrior cartoon show. Which I don't know if you've ever watched. Yes, there was.
Wow.
And it utilized CG animated stuff before that was even a thing. I think they made it before Reboot was a thing. So
my god. Oh god.
Yes.
How does that look? Jeez.
Look it up. I'll send you a link for it later.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. If it came up before Reboot.
yeah. So I am a huge lore nut when it comes to the MechWarrior universe. I know everything there is to know about the lore. I love watching other people do lore videos. Shout out to Black Pants Legion and a couple other people who do stories of it. The writing influences me today with how I write some of the battles and the plot points and stuff like that. I enjoy the way that the universe is set up. It is one of the great sleepers of lore, of like game world lore, that could be put into movies, TV, just a ton of stuff. And I really cross my fingers, and I really, really hope that they do this right. Like that this comes out and just absolutely smashes, because this is, like I said, it's a sleeping giant of a game. It will come out and be bloody amazing at some point if they get the right people to do it. And I've just been waiting for that. Did you know there's cat girls in the MechWarrior universe?
Of course there is,
Of course there is. They've got
mechs with tails. Jeez, don't answer that question. Please don't. But yeah,
the universe of MechWarrior is one of my all-time favorite universes. It is this perfect story of, like, humanity rising up to this absolute pinnacle and then coming crashing down, and then you have these, like, you've got this old technology that nobody knows how to make again, and then you get so much betrayal and cool stuff, and there's so many badasses, and I'm looking forward to this so much.
Maybe I should get back into MechWarrior, because I do remember, like, back when I first got Xbox Live as a kid, one of the few games that I played a lot of outside of Halo and Counter-Strike, yes, there was Counter-Strike on the original Xbox, were the first two, like, MechWarrior games that were on there. MechWarrior 1, MechWarrior 2, Lone Wolf, and I remember enjoying them quite a bit. Maybe I should check it out. Anyways,
I'll also give you a link to Black Pants Legion.
Yeah.
One of the greatest story, like, tellers. The way that he bends the story, twists the story into this stuff is just amazing.
Sure. Yeah, I'll look at him. All right. That does it for our review of Summer Game Fest, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening to us. I wasn't expecting us to go almost an hour, but we did. But it was a good conversation. Certainly more entertaining than the overall show. But, like, I'll give credit where it's due. Like, in an off year, there were a lot of really interesting smaller games shown. It's too bad that not a whole lot of people are interested in it. But, can't really blame people. You only have so many hours in the day and only so many games to play. but what we saw was interesting. We're going to be doing coverage of the Xbox showcase, which is happening tomorrow, or what will be today in about 3 minutes because it's 11:57 p.m. And then we're going to do stuff on Ubisoft. We might just compile that all into our next episode of Maximum News, which we might record on Wednesday. Stay tuned for that. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to comment if you have any thoughts on the Summer Game Fest. We'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. Syb, thanks so much for being a trooper. I know you've had a rough week, and thanks so much for recording with me. Anything you want to say before we're done?
We have a ton of stuff that we are working on. We have some really exciting stuff that we're working on. We have stuff that is coming that is going to be really, really good, and we're jumping back into some Fallout stuff.
Nice.
Tomorrow is the Bethesda and Microsoft showcase, so we will have something coming tomorrow, I'm told.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see it.
Hopefully that Fallout 3 remaster. Hopefully that Doom, the Dark Ages.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see. All right, and you guys can find me on all the regular forms of social media, just at Max Derrat. Make sure to go and subscribe to my channel. Like I said, I will have a video out on Final Fantasy Tactics on Monday. And then maybe something to do with Full Metal Alchemist the week after. If you're into anime, you might want to check into that. I'm going to have something special. Anyways, guys, until we do this again in a few days, I want to remind you, as always, and as per usual, stay yellow.